Alright, it took a while to get here, but we are making a few stops. Let's talk today about some trade ideas that have been tossed around there by a few articles and some insiders making appearances on podcasts that I found interesting enough to include into one video. Now, I'll be fully transparent here. The numbers are going to be off because I am pre-recording this on Friday, and this will be uploaded probably sometime on Sunday. But today we're talking about 4 teams and 2 different players, starting out with the Colorado Avalanche, because when it comes to the Avs, they have been such a powerhouse this season, but as we had discussed in the Nathan MacKinnon and Nikita Kucherov video from yesterday, they are, for all intents and purposes, a one-line team. And that's not really a bad thing. I mean, it's kind of bad. It's not the worst thing in the world, though, when your top line is so gosh darn good, like MacKinnon, Drouin, and Rantanen happen to be. But when it comes to this Avalanche team, you could very well say there is a need for more players, there is a need for a second-line center, there is a need to replace Ross Colton as your number 2 guy. Which is why we've seen the Avalanche linked to names like Elias Lindholm and a few other guys. Sean Monahan has been tossed out there. It's a lot of the same rinse and repeat conversations from these other teams, right? Which is why we head over to an article published on the Denver Post, which gives a different solution as to this entire forward conundrum with the Avalanche. Here's what Sean Keeler goes out there and writes. This article is from the 20th. How do you solve the Valeri Nichushkin problem? Easy. Trade for Nazem Kadri. Elias Lindholm would be a nice get from Calgary, but Nasty Naz wants no part of a Flames rebuild, and he fits a Stanley Cup contender at the peak of its powers perfectly. The article's main thesis statement at the beginning talks about how Chris MacFarland shouldn't make the same mistake twice. Don't trust Valeri Nichushkin, don't count on Valeri Nichushkin, even though he's good. I love him like a son, but after Nuke's second extended absence from this locker room in 8 months, this time to enter the NHL PA Assistance Program, I don't assume his presence in the playoffs anymore. Plus, I don't want to waste a year of Cale Makar, MacKinnon, and Rantanen, Hall of Famers, humming in their primes. And so, if I'm MacFarland, I pounce or go home. I make a trade for a guy who boosts our forward core. Elias Lindholm, you say, a 20-goal scorer in his prime, would certainly help, no question, but he's also a UFA, and he may make for an expensive rental. If we're pouncing here, I'm really pouncing. Let's get wacky. Let's get Nazem Kadri back. Let's get the band back together. Look, if you're trying to get back to the Cup Finals, if I'm the Avs, do I want Lindholm? Maybe. Do I know how he fits in Colorado? I don't know. But what I do know is what Nazem Kadri brings. I know what Naz does as a member of the Avalanche. This quote was actually said by Kevin Weeks on NHL Network. And this is an idea that I actually saw got posted onto the R Avalanche subreddit. They posted this article. Sean Keeler himself actually made the post asking if the Avs should bring back Kadri, and the top comment says, we've got to get over him, man. He had one spectacular career year, but that's never happening again. I agree. I thought it was a no-brainer extending Nichushkin over Kadri to begin with. Val was unreal during that cup run, specifically in the finals. Felt like most people preferred Kadri, though. A longer reply says this: I don't think anyone who knows Avs hockey expects him to have the year he did, which is why they let him go when he got the bag in Calgary. I think this article is romantic to think about bringing back Kadri, and after even watching today's game, on top of all the rest this season, I say let's do it. Ryan Johansson is simply not what we hope to be. This columnist is right. We have to win now while some of the best players in the NHL are on our squad. If Naz produces any points, it's better than Raijo right now. I used to have this mindset of careful spending, but, you see what happens in this league. Guys get hurt, players take deals when they're UFAs. If we don't take the chance now, we'll look back and wonder what if management made more bold moves. I personally would rather have another cup run now and suck for 10 years and have one amazing cup run and watch the rest get wasted on being gunchy with the cap. Best top line in hockey, possibly greatest defenseman to ever play the game right before our eyes, and the league MVP in MacKinnon. Gotta get in now. Now, I will say there are some Avs fans that are believing that this should be the case, but there are a bunch more that say, yeah, no, we shouldn't trade for Kadri, he wasn't that good. If you wanted the reference point, Kadri this season has definitely not produced as much as he did in his 100-point pace caliber year with the Avalanche all those seasons ago, but he's at 38 points in 48 games, on pace for 65, which is still okay, but he's making $7 million a year till the end of 2029, so you're gonna have to either get some salary retained if you're Colorado in acquiring this guy, or you're gonna have to make sure that you're gonna have the proper flexibility around the cap to make this work. I know the cap is going up by about $4 million next year, so that's gonna be very helpful. But He is pretty expensive, and the Calgary Flames, if they really wanted to get out of that contract, we had already seen this with the Nikita Zadorov negotiations, it's probably unlikely that they want to trade guys away and retain salary. So, if you're Colorado and McFarland, you're going to have to bite the bullet. My question to you is it worth it? Now, what I also wanted to do in regards to Alberta teams was go over another conversation brought up by Chris Johnston on The Chris Johnston Show. This is the episode from January 22nd, 2024. The link is going to be in the description if you want to listen to this yourself. But what Chris Johnston says in regards to the Edmonton Oilers is very interesting because he talks about some guys that the Oil may actually be interested in acquiring. This article on NHLTradeTalk.com goes out there and summarizes the comments made by Johnston. It's from January 23rd. Again, link in the description. In the latest episode of the CJ Show, the NHL insider delves into potential trade scenarios involving the Oilers, noting that they would love to add a top 6 forward to play with Draisaitl before the deadline. Johnson said they may be eyeing specific targets and dropped 3 significant names: Jake Guentzel, David Perron, and Jordan Eberle. And when I saw this name pop up in the article, I was like, wait a minute, that's the best one there. By far. The Oilers are on a tear. At least at the time of recording this audio, they're on a tear. They're still on their crazy win streak. And part of the reason this has been going the way it's going is because everybody in their lineup is showing up to play. Not just McDavid Draisaitl, not just the goaltending, but everybody. The defense is looking all right. The depth on forwards is actually looking pretty good too. And we talked about this in the video a few days ago, but we had ourselves some legendary performances out of a guy in Sam Gagner, who actually broke the record for being the only player in NHL history to be a part of 2 separate 14-game win streaks. That's Mr. 8-point game Sam Gagner himself. And you know what's the best part about this? Sam Gagner had his 8-point game in February of 2012. You want to know what else happened in 2012? Jordan Eberle had his career year. He had 76 points in 78 games played with the Oilers that season. He bounced around to the Islanders and eventually to the Kraken after that, where this season he's got 25 points in 43 games played, on pace for about 46 on the year. Now, he was really good last year, 63 points in 82 games played, a 20-goal season out of Eberle. He has been a pretty good vet, honestly, 33 years old. He was initially a top pick by the Oilers in 2008. How crazy would it be? Just tossing that idea out there. We have this romanticization about Nazem Kadri and the Avalanche. Let's do it here with the Oilers. How awesome would it be for the Oilers to go on this crazy win streak, force themselves back into the playoffs, maybe make the 2nd or 3rd round again, with McDavid, with Draisaitl, with all the new age guys, but also doing it with Eberle and Gagner on the team too. How poetic would that be? And we all kind of recognize that Jordan Eberle is a player that if you wanted to slot him into the top 6, he can do well. He's already been a pretty good player for the Kraken. And if you wanted to give him a lower role, let's say you force him down in the middle 6, second power play and secondary scoring type of unit, then hey, he can work out well there too. Sam Gagner's doing it. Just put Gagner and Eberle back together and all of a sudden you've got a great pairing. You just got to go out there and, I don't know, get Taylor Hall out there once again. Get that starting line of Hall, Gagner, and Eberle and bring it back to Edmonton. How crazy would that be? But, of course, as with all conversations about trades and acquisitions, we have to get into the discussion as to what this would cost. Now, Eberle, as we had said, is not the top-tier guy on Seattle like you could debate Nazem Kadri is supposed to be for Calgary. Eberle this season is 5th in Seattle Kraken scoring with his 25 points, and he's making $5.5 million a year to the end of 24. So this is a little bit expensive, I would say, for a guy who's in the production range that he is in. But if you wanted to talk about a rental, you want to talk about a guy whom the Kraken could retain salary on, the Oilers could bring over as a morale booster, and as a fan pleaser, Eberle could be the perfect fit. Sure, he's not as good as Guentzel. He's not as good as all the other names that have been tossed out there as potential forward targets, but Eberle is Jordan Eberle, a player who is exemplified in Edmonton Oilers lore, a reminder of all the years they were finishing 1st overall, and 1st overall, and 1st overall, and if you reunite him with Gagner, that could be so amazing to watch. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you're a Calgary Flames fan, what are your thoughts on the idea of Kadri going back to the Avs? Avalanche fans, do you think your team should go after this guy? And if you're a Seattle Kraken or an Oilers fan, what are your thoughts on the idea of an Eberle trade back to Edmonton? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.